Welcome back to Comic Quarantine. This is your host Nasil, and today we're going to talk about Batman Damned. Now, this is the first comic in DC Universe which actually features Batman's D. Now, since they showed Batman's banana, it kind of created a huge controversy, and they released the book once and they had to recall it due to the Comic Codes Authority. It's like a law which comics have to follow. We will talk about that one day. And so for me as a fan, I didn't get issue 1. I still have issue 2 and 3. It was a 3-issue miniseries. Now, this is part of DC's Black Label, which is for mature audiences. And this book is really more like a horror comics.
Boo.
Highly supernatural. As we go on with the story, you would see a lot of supernatural elements in the story. So now let's get into it. The story begins with Batman dying. Yes, you heard that right. Batman is actually dying. Or is it a hallucination trip? Let's see. And like he's literally batting for his life. And we think Batman is a character who is completely in control, but not here, mate. He is completely out of control. He's dying, and the cops are running up to him. He's being carried in an ambulance. Woo! All right. So he fights them. He goes brutal on them. Not sure why, and he escapes from there. He runs along, and then he fades out. And when he wakes up, he is stuck in some kind of... Now, this book is completely up to the reader's interpretation. He wakes up in some kind of purgatory world, I'm not sure. And guess who he meets? The British bloke, John Constantine. Yes, there was a John Constantine movie earlier, one with Keanu Reeves. Yes. Now, throughout the story, Constantine is narrating the story. He's the background narrator. And he tells Batman, Joker is dead. Now, Batman is really appalled. And what happens throughout, we see some flashbacks of Bruce Wayne with his parents. And as I said, supernatural, we also see other characters from the dark DC Multiverse universe, like Enchantress. Yes, the one from the pop summer movie Suicide Squad. So Enchantress is like some kind of a nightmare character for him in the backstory when Bruce Wayne is with his parents. She is in the background and haunting him, taunting him and all that. So Enchantress actually scares him so much that eventually we come to know that the fear of Enchantress is what drove him to become Batman. Yes, it's kind of very different element in the story. One which I also was thinking repeatedly over. And later he meets some other characters, again supernatural characters like Zatanna, Etrigan the Demon, and Deadman. Between this, Batman and John Constantine is going around Gotham to different places. And they go to the church, and surprisingly they see the cross with ha 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 written. So both of them are confused, and they get out later. There's a huge explosion. They look up to the dark night sky and they see the bat signal, except this time it's a Joker smile. So Batman rushes up and goes to the rooftop, and guess who he sees? The fan favorite, Harley Quinn. And Harley Quinn is dressed as a Joker, and she is weeping Joker's death and loss. And Batman and Harley Quinn have a quick tiff-taff, boom boom, tishk. And obviously, she does beat up Batman a little bit. Gives one right on his dong. This story and dong, I'm not sure why it's so much element in it. Yeah, and back to the story. And what happens is, this is one thing of this comic which I feel it at times, the page abruptly ends, and it quickly jumps into literally has a time jump, which I don't know why it's there like that. The story is not very continuous. Remember, as I said, there was explosion and the building is on fire. Yes, Batman quickly runs to save those people. He hears a wailing in a building. He runs up in the fire. He's battling the fire, goes through it. And surprisingly, he sees one of the DC's most powerful character. Yes, it's not Darkseid. DC has a magical character called Spectre. He's a green hooded guy. He kind of looks like Doctor Doom, but he is much more powerful and not sure he's evil. He's like a necessary evil. He's like a godlike character, but right below the god. After the fight with Harley Quinn, issue number 2 gets over and issue number 3 starts. Again, there's a time jump. We see Batman deep down in a casket in a grave. It's kind of a claustrophobic scene. It made me really uncomfortable. And we see him really trying really hard to get out. And he is saved from the grave by a legendary DC dark character, Swamp Thing. Now, Swamp Thing is back in the 1980s. He was really famous. He's the one who actually kind of started the dark universe for DC. Now, there's an alteration between Swamp Thing, Batman, and we see Enchantress back in the scene, John Constantine. They all have a dialogue, and in the end, Enchantress again scaring the hell out of Batman, and Swamp Thing saves the day by crushing Enchantress. After that, Batman and John Constantine go to some kind of a pub where all magic dudes hang out. There they see Zatanna. She's a cool character in DC. And we see her bringing out some cards, and they do some kind of ritual. Now, this is amazing art sequence by Lee Bermejo. He's the one who drew the comic. The ritual transcends, and we go back to that fateful night where Batman and his dad and mom is coming out of the movie theater after watching Mask of Zorro. Enchantress is again back there scaring the hell out of Batman. And Enchantress tells that you made a deal with me. Now, the deal here, what they're talking about, I think is, as I said earlier, it's a deal where Enchantress told that she'll make him Batman, or she influenced him to be Batman. And Enchantress is the deal is Batman has to go to hell for his sins. And bam! John Constantine blows Enchantress' head. It's super cool. You have to see that sequence happening. I'm fanning out here. And then Batman is like, enough of your games. Finally, Batman realizes he has to go to the one place where he can find the truth, the graveyard, because the graveyard never lies. And Batman rushes to the graveyard. Surprisingly, Constantine is already there. Not sure how he reads so quickly. Uber Gotham. And then Constantine tells him, I've been trying so hard to prevent you from coming to this place. This is a kind of crucial element to the story. And Constantine says adieu and goes goodbye. Batman enters the graveyard, and surprisingly he sees Spectre back again. Now, the dialogue here is also crucial to the story. I would not spoil that to you. Batman walks and opens the morgue and looks inside. Boom. Next page, the last page. Apparently, Joker and Batman were fighting, and Joker fell up from the bridge to his death, which Batman eventually thought so. But we see a man rising from the water and laughing like a maniac. With that horrible laugh, yeah. And we see Joker is alive. That is the end of the story, folks. Now, that was the breakdown of Batman Damned comic. What I really like about this book is the art. It's really mesmerizing. It's like a painting, really, Lee Bermejo's art. It really deserves to be there in the Louvre, Abu Dhabi. If they ever put a section up there, I'll be first one to go there and see that. So, story-wise, it can be a tad bit confusing because it's a 3-issue miniseries. I sat and read it in one single go. And all I could hear was John Constantine narrating in a very British slang and highly confusing. It was like a movie without dialogue. The first time I read the story, I did not understand it much. Then I again had to reread it. This time, yes, I was able to dissect the story. And some of the areas where I did not speak about in the story, which are the crucial elements, are like the spoilers. Once you guys read it, which I hopefully you do, it will be really mind-blowing. Because these elements which I left out, his interactions with Spectre, the one which in the ending is very, very cool. And the way the Batman and Joker has a relationship in this, even though Batman and Joker doesn't have much of interaction in this comic, you really see how one really feels for each other. And also the way Batman is broken in this comic. I believe a lot of people think Batman is like a, yes, he's a hero without powers, but he's trained to the peak, even physically and mentally, but not in this comic. As you see, every character is literally breaking him down physically and mentally, which you would not see in many of the other Batman comics. That being said, as I review books throughout the series, it would be very simple. Either you pick it up and read it, or you just pass it. So I would highly recommend you read this book, mainly due to the fact of the art, visualization. So the art is really good by Lee Bermejo. Story-wise, yes, it's a good story. I would not say it would be your first excellent or amazing, one of the classics, truly not. But yes, this story will always be remembered for the various things it has in it. And also, this book surprisingly connects to the 2008 book of the same writer and artist called The Joker. This is Batman Damned. That book is called The Joker. And eventually, I will review that book and we can maybe share our comments on that. And also, if you read this book, it's completely your own interpretation. And if you surf the internet, you might get amazing theories, some of which I've gone through, and maybe I'll make a different video about that. That's it, guys. That's my review of the Batman Damned comic and my personal opinions. Please like, share, subscribe this video, and hit the bell icons for notifications. And next week, we're gonna do a review of a movie. It's a very special movie to me. Stay tuned to find out more. Thanks, guys. Bye.